Have you been impacted by the justice system? If so, how are you going to get your confidence back? How are you going to feel as if you're making progress through this journey and you're not some person that's just outsourcing all decisions in your life, allowing your lawyer to define what success is, or allowing a prosecutor to define the rest of your life, or a judge to impose a sentence that can potentially derail your prospects for something better. My name is Michael Santos, and I'm the founder of Prison Professors. We create new content every day with a commitment to helping all justice impacted people, regardless of what stage they're in, regardless of their ability to pay anything. All they have to do is make a personal investment in growth. They have to figure out, okay, some factors, whatever they may have been, got me to this stage that I'm in right now. I am going to make decisions that are going to get me to the next stage. In fact, that reminds me of a book I once read called What Got You Here Won't Get You There. And that was a book that helped individuals in business figure out, okay, I've gotten so far in my career, but if I want to be a CEO, I've got to learn an entirely different set of skills. I've got to learn how to work with people and get all people moving in the right direction. And one lesson that those people taught us, those leaders taught us, is an individual has to be self-directed. That means a person needs to develop his own accountability metrics, or if it's a woman, her own accountability metrics. And that's what today's daily discussion is all about, accountability metrics. I can look at our website at prisonprofessors.com and see the blurb. When developing projects for years in the making, we need to create accountability metrics. An accountability metric helps us assess the progress level we are making. Distractions or interferences may impede our progress, but the accountability metrics we create should provide the insight we need, and that insight can help us adjust as necessary. Because there are going to be problems. Somebody going into prison has to become comfortable with being uncomfortable, has to become prepared for disappointment, because there will be a significant amount of disappointment coming. That disappointment will come from the people that we think are there to support us. It may come from legislators, or it may come from the system, or it may come from policies that change, or it may just come because we don't like what the prison system is serving for dinner. The point is, we've got to define success for ourselves, develop our own goals, create our own tools, tactics, and resources, but we also need to hold ourselves accountable. We got to power ourselves up, regardless of what the system does, and that's what today's lesson is about, which I'm going to read right now. 3 DEA agents arrested me on August the 11th, 1987. I didn't know what to expect because authorities had never put me in custody. They told me that the charges I faced exposed me to the possibility of life in prison. The following day, I attended the incipient court proceedings at the United States District Court for the Southern District of Florida. A judge would not allow my release on bail. A few days later, the U.S. Marshals transferred me in chains to stand trial in the Western District of Washington. I didn't know what to expect. Like anyone else in such a predicament, I wanted to get out of jail. But after a jury trial and a unanimous verdict on many counts, my judge imposed the 45-year sentence. I didn't know what to expect. It wasn't until after I settled into those first weeks in prison that I learned about the concept of good time credits. The sentencing laws in 1987 meant that I would receive 19 years in good time credits at the start of my sentence. I didn't have to do anything to earn the good time credits. But if staff members charged me with violating the disciplinary code, they could take those good time credits away from me. I could do the math. If I didn't lose any good time credits, I would complete my sentence in 26 years. That would be better than serving 45 years. But I didn't know how to process the concept of 26 years. I hadn't been alive that long. It occurred to me that if I had served the entire term, I would have lived more of my life in prison than outside. This was a wake-up call for me. It prompted me to commit myself further to that three-part strategy I mentioned previously. 1, I would earn a university degree. 2, I would become an author. 3, I would build a support network. I intended to reach each of those 3 goals within 10 years. The accountability metric I created would help. Now, a reader may wonder how I had designed a form to help me stay accountable. I can tell you that it looked very much like these journal pages. The prison wouldn't allow us to receive journals in the mail, but wanting to keep track of my progress, I created my journals. On blank pages, I drew calendars. At the start of the journal, I wrote what I intended to achieve during the quarter. I also wrote what I expected to accomplish before the end of the year. Since I knew what I meant to accomplish during my first decade in prison, I could assess whether my daily progress would lead to success. The accountability metrics I created helped me to exceed expectations. Within 4 years of the day I transferred to prison, I earned my undergraduate degree. After 8 years, I had a master's degree. In the process, I opened mentor relationships with several influential professors, and they opened opportunities for me to become a published author. I'd build a support network that included dozens of people. So here are your questions. In what way do educators use accountability metrics? In what ways do business leaders use accountability metrics? In what ways do athletic coaches use accountability metrics? In what ways do parents use accountability metrics? And in what ways do investors use accountability metrics? The word of the day is incipient. Define incipient and use incipient in a sentence. So when I am offering this course to you, as I call it, a self-directed course, it's because I know that you may be inside of a jail or a prison or a segregated housing unit when you are working through the prison professor's coursework. That's why all of these courses offer everything that you need to learn. You see, as you're going through these lessons, I can sit here and look at those same questions myself, and you will notice that in the questions that I'm asking you at the end of every one of our daily discussions, it is an open-ended question. It's not a question that you can answer with yes or no. You can challenge yourself to assess how much information you want to provide. For example, take a look at how you could answer in what ways do business leaders use accountability metrics. You could write a lot of ways. You could say, well, they don't use accountability metrics. You could write, they use accountability metrics to measure whether people come to work on time. You could write anything you want. But if you're truly committed to self-mastery, you are going to write your response in a manner that challenges your ability to communicate. You are going to write in a way that truly shows you understand how business leaders use accountability metrics. For example, and I'm just going to ad lib here. I don't want to shoot from the hip, but I want to show you how you could kind of test yourself to write more than a one-sentence answer to these questions. You could write, I've read a lot of business books, and they teach me how business leaders use accountability metrics. They use accountability metrics to assess whether the investment that they are making every month gives a return on the investment that helps the business grow and achieve its objectives. For example, they may use an accountability metric to determine how much their marketing spend is, and then together from that, assessing that accountability metrics on how much they spent, they could say, well, how many leads came into the system? And how many of those leads were truly qualified leads that wanted the product that the person ordered, or that we are how are we trying to solve a problem? Our accountability metrics can measure that by showing that a higher percentage or quantity of the leads that come into our sales funnel are converting and taking the next step of buying the product and then becoming ambassadors of the product. That's one way that you're just showing, hey, I'm being intentional about how I'm responding to these questions. Hopefully, in the process, I am developing my communication skills. Why is that relevant? Because someday you're going to have to persuade other people to believe in you. You may not even meet those people, but you're going to have to persuade them to believe in you because they're going to be judging you. This is the fact for any justice-impacted person. It might be a probation officer. It might be a federal judge. It might be a U.S. attorney. It might be a case manager in the prison system. You've got to hold yourself accountable to developing these tools, tactics, and resources so that when you have those meetings, you are showing them, I am the candidate that is worthy of relief. My name is Michael Santos, and I never ask anybody to do anything I didn't do. You can simply look at our blog page and see, am I producing content every day? Because that's the commitment I make to helping justice-impacted people. And so I do hope that if you're working through this program inside of a jail or a prison, you are truly working through these courses that we create for you. But if you're listening to this on iTunes or watching this on YouTube, I do hope that you will visit us at prisonprofessors.com and you will see how our team is working to be the change that we want to see in the world. My name is Michael Santos, and I believe in you.